Friday. Welcome back. This is your everyday town hall with your future Congressman David Esrati in the Ohio 10th District, which includes all of Montgomery County, all of Greene County, and parts of Clark County. So every day I'm trying to do this so that you can be a participant with the people that are going to lead you. And when I get elected, I plan on doing the same thing. Mike Turner's never had a town hall. He doesn't care what you think, answer your questions, or anything else. So today we're going to talk about greedflation. We've been hearing a lot about inflation, and the immediate knee-jerk reaction of the Federal Reserve was to, just jack up interest rates, which unfortunately helps the banks but hurts the poor people. People want to buy a house, just the house got more expensive. Small businesses want a loan, it got more expensive. This is the problem. America believed Milton Friedman and his bogus interpretation of capitalism, which is the sole goal is to optimize the value for the shareholder. That is not good business. That's not good for this country, and it's not working. Okay? We don't need more stock buybacks. We don't need more CEOs making extravagant amount of money. We don't need even to deal with dividends to shareholders because for the most part, we've made it so the whole Wall Street casino is rigged to make Wall Street people a lot of money. Okay? There's no real investment in corporations, and corporate values aren't connected to reality. We've had .com businesses that, got valuations of hundreds of millions of dollars and could never figure out how to make money. We had other ones we never thought they'd make any money, and now it's Google and it's Meta and Facebook, and they're making money hand over fist. There was a time when Apple Computer, now one of the most valuable corporation in the world, you could buy a share of stock for $7 and people thought it might not make it. So there's a lot of things to unpack here. But this Times article says maybe we never quite understood inflation the way we should have. There have been two major events that have really caused this great upheaval to the economy. Now, I want to be clear. The inflationary prices you're seeing here are happening globally. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not the Democrats' fault. It's not the Republicans' fault. You know whose fault it is? All of ours. Because we refuse to accept joint responsibility for what the entire planet just went through. It's not about pointing fingers at the Chinese or pointing fingers at a virus or the vaccine or health, anything else. We went to war. The whole world went to war against COVID. We shut entire countries down. We shut down transportation. We shut down factories. We shut down all kinds of things. Now, what did we do? We deficit spent our way back to prosperity. And the Republicans and these economic hawks who think that government needs to run like a business thinks you should have starved. In fact, Mike Turner voted against the American Recovery Act. He didn't want you to have any money. There are a lot of people who that was their lifeline. There are a lot of things we did wrong. There are some things we did right. We spent a ton of money on developing vaccines, which basically got us out of the crisis. What we didn't do is demand that we make money back on that. There's some very rich people at Pfizer and Moderna who are saying, thank you very much, we're billionaires now. Granted, some people should win, but we paid for that research. We paid for the development of these vaccines. We should get a return as well. And it's amazing, during COVID, we could find money for healthcare if you got sick with COVID. We couldn't find money for healthcare the rest of the time. And a lot of people who didn't have COVID suffered because the hospitals were full of people with COVID and they couldn't get the care they needed. But let's talk about what's really causing the problems, why your dollar doesn't go as far, and why some people have more dollars than they know what to do with. And for the example we need to look at isn't the economic boom of the 60s or the 70s or anything else. We need to look at what this country did in World War II, where we quickly transformed our entire manufacturing system from making things like cars and blenders and shock absorbers to making machine guns, bombs, tanks, and airplanes and ships. We turned on a dime and we imposed strict regulation on profit taking. There were people who were going to prison for going and gouging, price gouging. We didn't do that during COVID. We didn't do that at all. We let the free market be the free market. And one of the biggest problems is we've been on this deregulation kick for a long time, where we have just said, yeah, laissez-faire, go ahead. Don't regulate competition. Don't change things up. Just let companies self-regulate. And it costs us more. We pay more for our cell phone service. We pay more for all our health care. We pay more for all kinds of things. We don't worry about actually making sure the people working to make things can buy those things, which was something Henry Ford figured out. He says if his employees can't afford to buy a car, what's he making them for? So he paid his employees enough to be able to afford a Model T. I'm a big believer in social capital more than capital. Social capital is the value of the collective resources of a community. It's what made my neighborhood, South Park, strong and vibrant and able to turn around. We all got together. We worked together. We used the resources we had within our community to strengthen our community. We haven't done that in this country. We've used resources to buy politicians, to buy laws, to buy contracts, to buy deregulation, to buy everything a company could want. They spend it lobbying. It's payola. It's wrong. It needs to stop. We need true accountability of people in office. We need to see a change. Now I see we've got a few viewers. Do me a favor. Just put your name and say hi. Test it out. Try a comment. If you got a question, I'd love to answer it. But please, tap in, say hi, so I can see who's watching. I'm doing this to prove a point, that there is a way that a congressman can talk to his constituents every single day. Now again, next week, not going to be so good. Monday, I might not have somebody here to run the board. And Tuesday, I'm going in for surgery on my shoulder, which we talked a bit about yesterday. So, let's talk about what happens if we continue to allow this greedflation, where the rich get richer and the rest of us get squeezed. Eventually, the economic gap gets so big that the entire thing falls apart. It's done it over and over in history. It's not something you want to see happen. When the wealth gap gets so big, there's no middle, it stops working. And you hear Republicans saying over and over, well, we just gave the money away to just anybody. And those poor people said, you know, they could spend it on anything. Well, those poor people were spending it on necessities. That money spun around a lot more. And I see my friend Bill Mavar is here, and I see Mark. I don't know who OTTJ is, but hey, thank you. And thank you for the wishes on the surgery. I like this. I like seeing comments. I like connecting with my constituents. That's what a congressman's supposed to do. I'm only in DC 4 days a week during session, and session's only about half the year. I plan on being in the community, meeting with people, talking to them, asking for ideas, asking for input, asking them to work together with me to make your lives better, to make your money go farther, to make government more efficient. I've got a friend, big government's bad. No, bad government's bad. Good government is good. Sounds like something out of Animal Farm, doesn't it? So, I don't want to go really long here. It's Friday. Everybody wants to go home. I just want to remind you of something. Citizens United is probably the worst decision ever made by the Supreme Court that basically allows companies to spend unlimited money to have political speech that can outdo what your individual vote can do. And that is dangerous. It needs to go away. We talk about voter registration. We need donor registration, real time. We need to be able to see who these people are that are buying our politicians. And then we need to be able to track back when people vote for things as politicians, if they're voting in favor of the people who gave them money. That article that I've linked to in the comments down there, it's a good read. He doesn't have all the answers. And he doesn't bring up the World War II price constraints and the anti-gouging. But I'm going to give you there was a story, and I really should find this and put it in the links too. It was several weeks ago about how we deregulated the shipping industry, and we had all these small shipping companies, and then they all got back together under 3 different large corporations, and they are controlling the costs of shipping goods across the Pacific. They're the ones holding out the container prices. And nobody is talking about doing anything there. Now, the other thing, we talked about COVID, we forgot to talk about the Ukraine war. And even though we're not physically involved, although we're sending money and support, the Ukraine war is causing massive shifts on the global economy. Ukraine was the breadbasket of Europe, just like the Midwest is the breadbasket of America. And the amount of food they produced that can't be shipped outside, that's stuck, that's not being harvested because bombs are dropping, is affecting the worldwide food supply. Putin is doing more damage to the entire world than he's doing to Ukraine, and he's doing a lot of damage to Ukraine. Somebody said, well, if Trump was still in office, Putin wouldn't have dared do it because Trump was too unstable. No. Putin would have done it, and Donald Trump would have been cheering every step of the way with his KGB handler wife, Melania. Let's be real here. When does a guy who's been divorced a couple times, had all these horrible outside his marriage relationships, pay off of people, when did he become some sort of great genius of running a country? He thought Vlad Putin was great. He went to North Korea. Oh, buddy. This was the key problem with the COVID response. We didn't have a leader. We need to have a leader. We need to have a lot more young leaders. We need to get new ideas into Congress. I'm David Esrati. I want to be your representative. And I see, Joseph Wiley, I think it says Wiley, would you support term limits for Congress? I have said the best term limits are elections, but it's getting ridiculous. I definitely think we need to have a mandatory retirement age at age 70, okay? We don't need people over 70 picking the future for the country for the next generations beyond them. We need to get younger people in the top. I see we got another person, Official Little Silver, and he wants me to make Congress great. Thank you. Anyways, as to term limits, it's getting to the point, if we can't reverse Citizens United, if we can't create a voter information system, if we can't bring in ranked choice voting so you're not holding your nose picking between 2 horrible candidates, maybe that's what we have to do. But we've seen what happens with term limits in the state of Ohio, where people just shuffle from one position to another to another. It doesn't improve things. Got another question. Do I support expanding the U.S. Supreme Court? Well, actually, I think it's bad enough we got 9 justices. I think the real problem is anybody that the traitor-in-chief appointed with the Republicans ramming it down our throats, those people need to be removed. I think we need to put Merrick Garland back in place of Mr. Kavanaugh. I think we need to flip the seat that was given to, I'm drawing a blank, what's in a single month before, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. Amy Comey Barrett, thank you. It's hard here doing this live TV thing. So I think we need to readjust that. I think we need to get rid of a whole bunch of people in Congress that were saying, come on, raid the Capitol, take Mike Pence out. Those are traitors, folks. They're not congressmen, they're traitors. We need to clean house. Mitch McConnell needs to go. So do people like Jim Jordan. So do people like Warren Davidson. We need to revamp things. It's bad enough the gerrymandering. It's bad enough all the other things we've done. It's bad enough that incumbents are basically given a hall pass because they get unlimited funds. Again, the best solution for funding campaigns is we just pay for it all and nobody donates. But I don't see that happening either. It'd be a lot cheaper than the $15 billion plus we spent on the last election. Anyways, it's great to see comments. It's great to have the interaction with you. I appreciate all of you. We'll see you next Monday, maybe. It might not be the high-speed setup. We'll see what happens. But I'll definitely be back a week from Monday because the surgery is going to be on Tuesday. I'll be here with the sling. So I'm David Esrati. If you need to learn more, go to electesrati.com. If you want to make a donation, electesrati.com/donate. If you want to volunteer things, electesrati.com/act. All those things are great, but share things on Facebook, talk about these things, and be very proud of yourself for being a participant in our democracy as opposed to a bystander. I want to see these comments just start coming up like crazy every single day. I want to see lots of people engaged, and I thank you. And yeah, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Nancy's a little over the top. I think Chuck's still he's under 70, I think. But no, he's over 70. He looks good for his age. It's time for younger people to be thinking about the future of our country. Anyways, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Have a great weekend. This is David Esrati saying thank you for being participatory, and I hope to be your congressman. Have fun, folks.